Hi, I'm Tara from the New Joy of Jell-O project. You might know me from such videos as molded ham and egg salad or jellied fresh vegetable salad. But today I'm not here to talk about Jell-O. I'm here to talk about something else that begins with the letter J, and that is juggling. Juggling for office workers. Now, as an office worker myself, I am of course aware of all of the news stories that have been coming out recently about sitting all day is as bad for you as smoking and all the terrible things that can happen to you if you have a job that's largely sedentary. So it seems to me that a sensible way to go about this is just to, take periodic breaks throughout the day and get up and do something. Some people like to get up and just take a walk around the floor of their office or go take a walk to the water cooler or something like that. Maybe you get tired of your office environment. Maybe you need to be by your phone when the break comes up. So what do you do besides just stand there like an idiot? Well, I propose that you spend, 5 or 10 minutes juggling. Now, juggling is not that hard to learn. It's actually really good for you. It helps you develop your physical coordination, your mental coordination. It's fun, and it really improves your mood. Now, way back in the day, Steve Martin in his stand-up routine said that when you play the banjo, it's almost impossible to be unhappy. And I would say that the same goes for juggling. At least I find when I juggle during my office breaks, there's a noticeable improvement in my mood. Juggling is it's a cool, fun thing to do. It's really neat. It kind of impresses people, but it's just, you get those balls in the air and all of a sudden you're just a little bit happier. Well, now you're saying, but Tara, I don't know how to juggle. Well, that's partly why I'm here today. I'm going to show you how. This is not going to be something that you're going to pick up easily, most likely. I mean, some people do. I have looked at various sites on the internet, and a lot of places will say, well, you start and you should have your basic cascade juggling in about an hour. Now, I first learned how to juggle about 30 years ago. I don't remember how long it took me, but I'm pretty sure it took me longer than an hour. So when you start learning to juggle, it's going to take you as long as it takes you. Now first, let's talk about balls, because you need balls to juggle. These are lacrosse balls. Now they're a pretty good size and heft for juggling. You can buy them in bulk on Amazon. They're not very expensive. I don't recommend that you start off learning with them because they bounce. Although, if you really enjoy learning to juggle and you want to go out to your yard or in the park or whatever to practice, then lacrosse balls are probably fine. These are klutz bean bags. They go with the book, Juggling for the Complete Klutz. So this book has been around for almost 40 years, and for good reason. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. It's very kind, it's patient, it's very thorough in explaining how to learn to juggle, and even walks you through sort of the pitfalls of learning how to juggle. The only issue I have with these bean bags is they're slightly large for my small hands, but they're really good. And what's important is that they are bean bags, which means they're easier to juggle with, and when you drop them, they're not going to bounce. They're not going to make a ton of noise. They're not going to knock over anything. They're just going to fall with a thud to the floor and stay there. So they're a really safe way to learn how to juggle. These are some other juggling bean bags that I got from Amazon. They're pretty inexpensive. These are Dunkin' branded, the yo-yo people. Looking on Amazon, it looks like some Chinese manufacturer makes them in several different brands, stamp their names on them. I went for Dunkin' because, nostalgia. But these are also pretty good. Again, they don't bounce. They just drop with a thud. Really safe for you to learn to juggle with them. And I like them because they're a little bit smaller than the klutz bean bags, so they're a little bit easier for me to handle with my tiny hands. So now you've got hold of your balls, let's learn how to juggle. Let's start with the hand motion, which is basically a sort of a scoop toss back and forth with your hands in an open sort of scoop shape. Now, you don't have to stand there practicing it if it makes you feel stupid, as it obviously does me, but definitely keep that in the back of your mind as you're practicing with the actual balls. We're going to start with one ball. All you're going to do is toss it back and forth from hand to hand using the scoop motion that I showed you. And what you want to achieve here is a consistency of pace, of height. You want the ball consistently peaking at about or maybe slightly above eye level, and you want to keep the ball in a pretty narrow vertical plane. Now I see that I am grasping and releasing the ball as I toss it back and forth. Do try not to do that. It's probably really difficult not to do that with only one ball, but do try. Once you've established a good consistent toss with one ball, you can add in the second ball. Start with one ball in each hand. Toss the first ball. When that reaches the peak in front of your eyes or slightly above, toss the second ball, and so forth. Try to alternate the hand that you start with, and try not to keep it in a very strict vertical plane, or you're going to end up with mid-air collisions. Once you feel like you've nailed two-ball juggling, you can add the third ball. Start with two balls in one hand and one ball in the other hand. Toss the first ball from the hand with two balls in it. When that ball reaches its peak, toss the second ball from the other hand. When the second ball reaches its peak, toss the third ball, and obviously you're catching it either side. Now, it's totally normal for this to feel really awkward at the beginning. You're going to drop a lot of balls. You just have to keep going with it. When I slow it down for you, you can see that in any given pass, what's happening is one ball is being tossed, one ball is being caught, and one ball is in the air. I'm not going to lie, juggling 3 balls is definitely more difficult than juggling 2. You're going to have a lot harder time getting this, and you just need to be really patient and stick with it, and you can totally get this. Just keep going and maybe even learn to enjoy the sound of the balls falling on the floor. If you don't enjoy that so much, another thing you can do is listen to music. That's definitely what I do when I practice. What I listen to mainly for juggling balls is my Galaxy News radio on Pandora, which I set up based on music from the Fallout video game series. When I first took up juggling again a few months ago, I was doing it a lot to the song Jingle Jangle Jingle by Kay Kaiser. But you listen to, whatever you like. Just make sure it's not too fast or too slow. If noise is a concern, you can try juggling scarves. Learning how to juggle scarves is not difficult, and I think that it's actually easier to learn tricks once you learned how to juggle the scarves. The main difference between juggling scarves and juggling balls is that you're plucking the scarves up instead of tossing them underhand. And try to stay on top of the scarves at all times. You don't want to get your hands under the scarves or you're going to lose the flow of the juggle. Before you start, roll up your sleeves if you have any and take off any jewelry that might catch on the scarves. Just like with the balls, we're going to start with one scarf and toss back and forth using the overhand motion with the pinch, staying on top of the scarf. Once you're feeling okay with one scarf, you can move on to 2. And again, you're going to be tossing them back and forth. Now it helps if you have scarves of 2 different colors because you can make sure to always toss the scarf of one particular color first, and that will have you always alternating which hand you start with. And again, just like with balls, once you're comfortable juggling 2 scarves, you can add a 3rd scarf to the mix. And again, you would start with 2 scarves in one hand, 1 scarf in the other hand. Toss your first scarf from the hand with 2 scarves, toss the second scarf from the other hand, and so on and so forth. It's all pretty straightforward. Now, on the one hand, it is a little easier to juggle scarves because they do fall much more slowly than balls do. But you have the added issue of stray breezes in the room. If you have a fan going or if you have the windows open, air moving about the room is going to catch your scarves and blow them off course. So be aware of that when you're working on this. Once you've got your 3-scarf cascade pattern down, you can try getting a little fancy with it. Try some overhead juggling with it. Try alternating with the cascade. It's actually really fun juggling with scarves. I just started doing it a few months ago, and the first time I did it, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. It just looks really awesome, and it's a lot of fun. I also recommend using music with this, although for juggling with scarves, I would go with something a little bit more psychedelic, because it just seems to fit the way the scarves look as you're juggling them. Don't stop at the overhead toss, try some other tricks too, and mix them up. And then go on the internet and look at some YouTube videos of other people juggling scarves and try to copy their tricks. It's actually not hard, and it's really fun. Before I go, just another couple of tips for you. One, don't rush your victory dance. When you're learning to juggle and you first get it, you get like a couple of good passes with the 3 balls, you're gonna be like, yay! Try not to do that, because you will immediately drop them. Try to stay calm, keep the cascade going as long as you can, and then when you're done, hopefully finishing it with a controlled catch of all 3 balls, then you can totally go, yay! Another helpful hint that actually worked really well for me when I was learning how to juggle is do it over a bed. Just stand in front of your bed and juggle. That way when you drop them, they won't bounce, they won't make a lot of noise, and you won't have to keep bending all the way to the floor to pick up your balls. Now, you don't have to learn any juggling besides the basic cascade pattern that I've demonstrated for you. But if you want to learn some other juggling tricks, know that the main way to learn juggling tricks is just to break down the movement like we did with the cascade. So one way that you can spend your office breaks more profitably, if you want to learn more juggling tricks, is to practice the sub movements in the office, that, you know, the easier ones. So that's really all there is to it. I have total faith in you that you can learn how to juggle. So grab your balls, start practicing, and have fun taking breaks in the office. I'll see you on my next roast Jell-O recipe. Totally gonna get deleted. Totally.